What's up, everybody? Blake from Digital Cynic here, back again with the second installment of the Digital Cynic Podcast. My name is Blake, and with me is, as always, my good friend Brendan and fellow Digital Cynic. How you doing, Brendan?
I'm doing good, Blake.
Good. So for those of you who, I should say, for most of you who do not know what our formula is for this podcast, basically all of the news that happens out throughout the week, we kind of gather some of our favorite bits, and sometime during the weekend, we then sit down and talk about it. So we got a few stories today. We have a handful of stuff. We got the Witcher trailer for Netflix just released and yesterday, I believe, at the time of this recording. And we have a release date now, I think, officially for it. We got a surprise release date for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, the second installment for that. We got Nintendo Switch-related hardware sales, PS4 sales, Death Stranding reviews, and more. So sit back, relax, feel free to minimize that YouTube window, and listen to us talk about some video game and tech news. Here we go. So I think the first thing we should talk about is we should talk about The Witcher. So The Witcher, for those of you who don't know, recently got, I should say a while ago, got a Netflix series with the one, the only Henry Cavill. And honestly, I was very skeptical about this when I first saw the first like teaser trailer, and when I saw the like first photos appear. The more that I look at it now with this like official main trailer is as the video is titled, I'm like almost all the way on board. I don't know about you.
I was actually kind of the same way. So they released some pictures of him a while back before there was even a teaser trailer.
Right.
And honestly, it looked kind of cheesy. The wig looked horrible, like stuff like that. Then the teaser actually came out, and I thought it looked pretty cool. I love the Witcher games. Geralt's a great character, and I don't know, it's a pretty big actor to get to fill his role for Netflix, honestly.
Well, and the thing is too is like it's kind of like it's almost like when you talk about finding the guy to play Batman. Obviously, you need a competent actor to fill a role, but oftentimes for characters like this, it's almost like you need the right physique or the right jawline, and I think Henry Cavill like fits it perfectly. And then when you first hear him speak in the trailer, that's when I was like, okay, him as the Witcher, as Geralt, I'm sold. The only thing that I'm really hesitant on, or I should say my only gripe, is I'm not a big fan of, I don't know if you call it the cinematography or just the way it's kind of lit. It's got that kind of like,
it does have a weird,
it's got that like Green Arrow, DC, like everything's kind of still
makes it look
dark.
like they're trying to make it look extra dramatic.
Yeah, and maybe that's just for the sake of this for this trailer. I hope we see more of the kind of like open forest area, and it's not all like Game of Thrones snow and cold and dark.
Yeah, that does have actually like the filter that they put on videos and post like has a huge impact, at least to me, on quality. Like for example, Justice League.
Right. Yeah.
The whole movie was just pure red. If you go back and watch it,
yep,
there's a red filter on the entire movie.
Yeah, and so we got on the trailer too. It ends with the release date of December 20th, and from my understanding, they're actually going to be they're not going to be doing a drip feed like they've done with some of their other ones, with their other exclusives. This one's going to be like I think the full season or whatever. So I'm excited for it. I'm going to be mostly optimistic for it. I think Henry is a great choice for the character. Some people are complaining about how all the characters don't look exactly as they should, but according to the showrunner on Twitter, she said that the Witcher Netflix series is more based on the books as an adaptation of the books. So I think it's going to be pretty apparent that we'll probably see some nods from the game, like some little references, but as far as the overall,
I mean, the games came from the books.
Right. And so I think overall the Witcher Netflix series, as long as it shows like a good amount of like nods or pays kind of pays homage to the game series in some way, it makes enough references, that's totally fine with me, because I can get on board with the new story. The only reason why we should really care about The Witcher is because of Geralt. And so as long as Geralt is interesting and as long as his journey is interesting, I think that's a good enough reason to watch it. So I'm excited. I will definitely be watching it on December 20th, and hopefully we can talk about it in a future video. But yeah, that's any last things to input on The Witcher, Brendan?
No, just like in general, it kind of grinds my gears a little bit when people complain that they don't look exactly like the video game characters, stuff like that. I mean, come on, like they're picking one dude or one girl out of, X amount of people.
Right.
And as long as like they have the defining characteristics of the actual character, it's, I don't know, it's fine. I also this is kind of like a prequel type show, right?
No,
he's like younger in this one.
So I think in this one he's younger, but I think from what it looks like in the trailer is that my guess is that they're already going to have him established. Like he's already the Witcher. He's or I should say he's already a Witcher. He's already very well versed in his craft and that sort of thing. I don't think we're looking necessarily at an origin story. It might be a prequel, as far as like a timeline with the Witcher games or the books. I have not read the books, so those of you who have, let me know in the comments. But yeah, I think it's just a younger Geralt, but not like an origin.
Okay.
thing.
Basically, what I was getting at is I do love that like kind of older, gritty, bearded Geralt. So I hope we see that eventually in like future seasons or something. But yeah, overall, pretty excited about it. I mean, we're getting a Witcher TV series, so
yeah. and with the way the video game movies have a track record of being, I'll take this any day.
I think this whole show adaptation situation that's going on is a great idea, and honestly, they have the budget for it. Like, I think it's going to be good.
So for another movie or film piece released, whatever you want to call it. Earlier today on Twitter, I was actually messaging Brendan about this. I saw the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse Twitter account. They make a tweet that says, "Hey, our spider sense is tingling. Do you sense that?" or whatever. And both Sony and the Sony Animated Studios Twitter accounts responded in some weird, vague ways. And then later that day, they have this tweet here. April 8th, 2022, Spider-Verse, and it's just a logo with the 2022 date or year on it. Literally, I don't know anything else about this except that I'm excited. Honestly, Into the Spider-Verse, hands down, the best Spider-Man movie to ever hit the big screen ever. I know everyone likes to say the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 was the best, and although I agree it's one of them, this hit.
They'll have their own place.
They have, except for the Andrew Garfield ones.
Those. Okay. Sorry. Side note here. I actually loved Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man for like the longest time, and then I went back and watched those movies again, and they were not well made.
Yeah, I think most of it has to do with, there's a lot, and that's a whole nother topic in itself. But, I think one of the things with Andrew Garfield that the problem was just that they kind of went the route of him being this like pretty boy, cool, but like, he's like, I'm a pretty boy, but I'm also a nerd. And it's like, no one's buying that.
Yeah. I didn't buy that. He played a great Spider-Man.
Right. He played like, and that was like, Tobey Maguire was a great Peter Parker, and I thought Garfield was a pretty good Spider-Man. The only thing with him as Spider-Man was that he was just a little too asshole-ish.
Yeah,
his
he was
quips.
kind of quippy.
Yeah, he was kind of a jerk.
He was.
But yeah, so not much else with that right now. But that's very cool that we're getting a second Into the Spider-Verse. So I'm very excited. I don't know who they're gonna add or if who. Like, I hope that it continues on Miles Morales' story, because I love that character. And I would love to see Nick Cage and John Mulaney come back in some way.
Yeah, I would. Wait, who did John Mulaney play again?
He was the Spider-Ham.
Spider-Pig.
Yeah, Spider-Pig.
Yeah. Yep, that's
Spider-Ham.
right. I also would love to, since obviously it's a Spider-Verse, they have a lot of potential.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see just like a weird, quick scene where they go through the Spider-Verse and all of a sudden they're in like the real world in Tom Holland's Spider-Man for just like a second. Just a second. But,
yeah, and that would be really cool. I don't know how they would get the licensing with that, if that's a thing they can work out with Marvel.
Well, I don't think they even need licensing because they own the character still. So technically, it's Marvel who has the licensing from Sony.
Yeah.
So I think they could technically get it done. So
yeah, I think it's possible. Yeah, I'm excited though. So our next bit of news, I guess, BlizzCon happened, and I don't know how many of you are fans of Overwatch out that watch this video right now, but there's a lot of people.
Everyone's a fan of Overwatch.
Well, I just don't get why. Like, I get from a business sense, but it's so dumb because Overwatch doesn't need a sequel; just add more content.
Well, yeah, so they're adding a story mode.
You can patch that in. Like, pretty much they're just the main. So
I don't think they need to like release. I don't think it would ever need to be like a physical game or like a whole separate download. It just needs to be, like you said, a patch.
Right. I mean, people download DLC all the time.
Yeah, like a $40 expansion.
Right. Well, and here's the thing that really gets me upset is that so this article is what I'm referencing mostly, is this Polygon article, and they kind of talk about the main stuff that changes. We got story missions. We've got some competitive updates. It looks like some maps and some maybe a game mode. Then we got some customization options. So I think for certain co-op games, different costumes, it looks like, might affect some special abilities that the heroes have. And then we got a visual change, which I'm showing on screen here. And it just looks like a reskin to me. It's like, okay, you may have changed the design of it or the skin, but to me that just doesn't warrant a 2. And the only reason why they're doing a 2 is for business purposes. That's the only thing I can think of, is because they're going to refresh it as Overwatch 2, resell a bunch of $40 to $60 games, and then basically have about 75% of the same game in there, just having a story mode and a few other little things added. And in a game that makes $1 billion, they reported last year $1 billion in the loot box sales alone. To me, there's no way that this game doesn't need to be free to play and just have a patched in story mode, with the way that the loot boxes are just shoveling or raking in money.
This is the way I look at it, though, Blake. So you don't need to buy Overwatch 2. They already came out and said that. You're still on Overwatch 1 going to be getting same exact map and character releases as 2. So really, like, a huge part that it's adding is just that, like, new game modes, new cosmetics. All your cosmetics will transfer over that you purchased to the new one, which a lot of games don't even do that. So overall, I mean, like, they made it optional. You don't have to do it. But I mean, they've been giving us a free game for, you paid $60 once, and it's been completely free for like, what, 3-4 years now.
So wait, so the original Overwatch and Overwatch 2, as far as like those who want to play comp, that's going to be on the same thing, is what you're saying?
Yeah, so I don't know the exact details about it, but basically, I read that they are releasing the exact same maps and characters for both games. So like the only reason that you would upgrade to Overwatch 2 is for like, just because you want to, not because you have to.
So, okay, so we got one of the more interesting parts is how this will impact Overwatch players for its player versus player multiplayer. It won't. Overwatch owners will receive all competitive updates and play side by side. Oh, okay.
With Overwatch 2 players.
Okay,
Yep.
see, I was under the impression that it was this new thing that they were adding.
No, so I think that they're
okay.
actually going about it pretty well.
Well, I'll redact a little bit of what I said.
But otherwise, the real important thing that was announced at BlizzCon is Diablo 4.
eh, eh,
You're not a
nah,
hold up.
nah. Sorry, I'm just
Seriously?
not, yeah, I never. That was a game I never got into. I don't know. Sorry.
Oh, Diablo
Sorry.
3 has
Sorry
a
to
lot
end our
of hours
friendship
of my
like that,
yeah
but
friendship over. Yeah, no, Diablo 3 has a lot of my life consumed into that game. It is just mindless, awesome fun with your friends, cool gear, great bosses.
No, I get that. I mean, I get
awesome.
why people like it. It's one of those things that I don't know. Maybe it's because you needed friends to play with, and I think it came out at the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better with friends for sure.
But yeah, so I mean, and those were the two big things that they talked about at BlizzCon. And so yeah, I don't. It'll be interesting to see what happens to Blizzard's rep and any of the hype surrounding any of these titles over the next week or so. But yeah, so we got Overwatch 2, which now confuses me more because even then, so yeah, I'm wrong on that. But why not just do a
patch.
DLC? Like,
no, I agree. I mean, they could even just like update
just
it
call
to
it something.
show Overwatch 2. I mean,
right? Well, you could call it some sort of DLC pack, charge whatever you want to charge for it, and then have it just be part. I don't know. To me, Overwatch 2 just adds confusion to it. But
yeah, I don't think it's a matter of like people needing to pay. Like, I think that they've justified like getting some more money from people. So like, $40 or $60 upgrade to Overwatch 2 for another like 3 or 4 years.
I don't know.
Fun again.
If they have loot boxes in it, then they shouldn't charge any.
Yeah, I mean, but loot boxes are also not. I've never once
$1 billion.
Okay, I get that, but like
made.
Me personally, I've never purchased a loot box on Overwatch, and I have.
But $1 billion was made. So people are. That's what I'm saying.
At least they're dumping some of it back into the game.
Oh, for sure. And that's cool to see.
It's not like they're just taking the money and running.
Just be a free DLC for making $1 billion a year off.
Yeah, they could justify it for sure. It's Blizzard, so the World of Warcraft days are coming to an end, and they need to get money in every place that they can.
As long as I can still play main Orisa, I'm fine. I'll be
okay. Yeah, I've never played as her, but a lot of people like her.
She's the best. No, okay.
She's just so ugly, Blake. She's just so ugly.
How dare you? She's a centaur mech beauty. So moving on from Overwatch, I don't know. Have you looked at the Switch Lite at all?
I did play around on it a little bit at a Best Buy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know why I was in that ancient place, but I don't know. It definitely feels cheaper. It's a little bit smaller.
Well,
but
what were your initial thoughts? I should say, like when they announced it,
like the idea of it.
Yeah, like did you think it was the right move for them?
I think that there's a lot of people. So for me, no, I love playing it docked.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a lot of people out there that they're just looking for that awesome portable console. So,
right.
and So is every single game is going to be able to run on that one, right?
Supposedly. I think
It's not. It's a matter of how well.
So the thing is that there's this rumored like Switch Pro thing. Everyone's thinking like in terms of PS4 Pro or Xbox One X, but there's a lot of inside people saying that it's not going to be that sort of traditional like upgrade that people are thinking of. So, and it's Nintendo, so you never know what to expect from Nintendo. My guess is it'll either go one of two ways if a Pro is released. It'll either be third-party games that can't run on the current Switch or that aren't ported on the current Switch and the Switch Lite. Those will be just ported to the Pro model exclusively.
Oh, okay.
But all first-party Nintendo games will be able to be played on all of the systems. That would be my best guess. If they can't be played, if games can't be played on all three systems, then that would be the way that it would go.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'm not going to upgrade. I have my PlayStation or computer for basically impact-heavy games, but
right. And so the reason why I was asking about the Lite is because for this story, Nintendo recently just unveiled some of its numbers for the Switch Lite. Apparently, it's doing really well. In 11 days, it sold almost 2 million units. And I can understand the attraction to it. Most people, so the idea of the Switch Lite is meant more as a successor to the 3DS. And so they're trying to make it all under the same family. And now they're trying to integrate either the more budget consumer, or like there's some parents have like if a group of parents have like 3 kids, right? They're not going to buy 3 Switches for those 3 kids at $300 a piece. That's $1,000 almost, and so it's much more economical to just buy a $200 Switch Lite. And hopefully, if my son's not watching this video, but I'm probably going to be getting him the Pokemon Switch Lite for his birthday, and we'll probably be doing an unboxing of that too.
Yeah, that'll be you gotta.
But yeah,
you gotta give it to him, and then you gotta just be like, okay, now I have to take it back and make a video and open it. I do enjoy that at all.
All right, here it is. Okay, it's mine now for the next hour and a half.
Otherwise, you could have him unbox it too.
Yeah. It's. I'm still a little upset that with Link's Awakening, they didn't do a Game Boy model, but Nintendo Switch Lite. According to this Eurogamer.net article, Switch Lite sold 1.95 million units in 11 days, and Link's Awakening shipped 3 million copies. Nintendo's latest round of sales figures are in, and the Switch Lite is off to a good start. The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening hit 3.13 million copies. Switch Lite hit 1.95 million units worldwide. And then it kind of goes off to talk about some of the games. So, I mean, these games are doing really well. The system's really popular. I think during the holidays, we're going to see that number. I wouldn't be shocked to see that number at least double of the Switch Lite.
Oh, yeah.
During Christmas time.
Black Friday on, like.
And even, like, I mean, the Switch sold amazingly well the last what was it out? How long has it been out now? Almost 3 years now? The last couple of Black Fridays, it has not gone on sale for Black Friday. All they have done at most is
they've thrown in a game or something. I think that's what's gonna. Yeah. I think that's what they're gonna do for the Switch Lite this year. Is they're just gonna toss in Link's Awakening or one of the Pokemon games with it or something.
Yeah, it's
and it's great. They can do that because they made these games, so they can give them away for free, pretty much.
Well, and so I think it's a cool concept, and I get the appeal. Apparently, it's because of the smaller, lighter design. It's even more comfortable and more ergonomic to hold. I like the idea of the D-pad, but I'm just gonna stick to mine. And then I'm gonna get that Pro model just because I want that upgraded system. I want the upgraded graphics, but mostly the extended battery life. Because the one that they have now has the extended battery life, but I can't justify buying a whole new Switch just for more battery life. So if I get better performance and maybe more heavy-hitting games, Moving on from the Switch, in terms of sales units, we got another similar story regarding sales. The PlayStation 4 this week officially topped the 100 million mark, and it's become the second best-selling video game console. Not Sony's second best system. It's the second best system. This headline is worded a little weird, but it is the second best-selling video game console, right behind the original PlayStation 2. And it's interesting because God dang it, I'm supposed to take these ads. The
ad blocker.
Right. The thing with the PS2, if for those of you who don't remember, or if you do remember, I remember. The main thing with the PS2 was that it was a DVD player, and so it was the cheapest DVD player at the time, and it was right when VHS was going over. So that was kind of the main reason why it sold so well. I mean, I can't tell you how many kids I knew, including myself, were telling their parents like, "Oh, you want to get a DVD player? That one's the cheapest DVD player." And then, "Oh, you bought me a game console. Oh darn, I guess I have to buy games for it now." Right. And so the fact that and now with modern gaming, when you have some of the casual market now diverting to, tablets and mobile games and that sort of stuff, people who don't really play video games, the fact that the PS4 still has sold that much is very impressive. It makes sense because it's a great system and it's got a great library. And I think do you remember the watching the E3 press conference when like Xbox kind of face planted when they initially unveiled the Xbox One?
Yeah. Yep. I remember watching that. I was always going to get the PS4 over the Xbox, but I know they were really like pushing the Xbox One based on the Kinect at first, and it kind of flopped.
It didn't kind of flopped. It bombed. And you're right though, because like they were trying to market it with this Kinect, and I think the main problem that they had was Xbox. They had the Kinect bundled in with the system, but it made the system more expensive. And then so in order to try and cut back on costs, they had to cut back on the components that made the system less powerful than the PS4. And it was still being sold at a more expensive price. And so the only way to try and even save face was to then start selling it without the Kinect at $100 cheaper. But with their weird DRM stuff that they were also trying to implement, in their always online thing, I think that just ended up killing them. It did kill them. I know. So it'll be interesting to see how things happen with the next gen. But yeah, the PS4, I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it's done as well as it has.
No, Sony really likes to keep it simple. They've had a pretty consistent formula for years now. And honestly, I've never really been like disappointed by them.
Well, and I think even if you look at their failures, if you look at Xbox failure versus Sony's failure, which was the PS3, the only real reason why it kind of flopped was because, in my opinion, it was just they were trying to go for the most powerful gaming console out there, but in their venture to do so, they make something that was super hard to develop for. And when you do that, it's harder to develop games. And even if you have the more powerful console, if your console is harder to develop for, your game is not going to run as good or look as good. And so that's why you would have Xbox 360 games, which is technically a more inferior console. Games look better on it.
There's definitely no denying that the Xbox 360 was overall a better console than the PS3, but I actually ended up towards so I think the original PS3 flopped, like that big giant,
the fat boy,
chunky fat boy. That one flopped. yeah, it's great, but that one flopped because they were kind of going more towards like, well, let's get as close as we can to a computer.
Well, and
in a console,
and on that point too, like if you remember on the fat model, it was like the front slot. They had like 5 different types of media card readers.
Yeah.
That you got rid of those, you're already saving a little bit of money on developing.
It was
that
overkill.
system.
I do think the PS3 really took off though once they did come out with that slimmer model of it.
Oh, they dropped the price. They come out with the slimmer model. Unfortunately, they got rid of backwards compatibility with it, but and then they did that heavy marketing campaign with what's his face, that the one guy from all those commercials, the blonde haired dude. But anyway, yeah.
I'm trying to think.
Sony, congratulations. Yeah.
Nice. I do love Sony. Thank you, Sony, for giving me Into the Spider-Verse 2 and PS4. Now I'd like an Into the Spider-Verse game. Get on it, bitch. Just kidding.
So on sticking with the PlayStation and the Sony route, Death Stranding reviews have started coming out now, and this is kind of I don't know if you've seen anything like this. I really haven't, where the reviews have been so conflicting with the scores. If we we're on OpenCritic right now, and we can see that the average critic score is 86, and the critics recommend score is 83%. And the funny thing is that you'll see, like, for the most part, you'll see like, a 9 out of 10, but then you read it and it's like slow, incredibly boring, dull, really long and slow burning, and you're just like, you're reading this what seems to be almost a scathing review, and then it's like 9 out of 10, and you're like, wait, and you reread it, and you're like, I must have missed something, but no, I guess people are just having a tough time clarifying and actually conveying what this game is and the experience it is to play, because it's a Kojima game, and so it's just really weird.
Yeah, it definitely, that's the perfect word to describe it, is it's weird. And also I think I feel them, like there's been times where I've been like playing a game or watching a movie,
right, and
I'm kind of like, I can't stop watching it or I can't stop playing it, but I don't know why I'm still watching or playing it. Well, it kind of seems like that's what they're like thinking here, and then at the end they're kind of just confused and they're like, well, I think it was good, maybe.
Well, and I think for me the main takeaway is from my perspective and my interest in the game is that there's a lot of games out there right now in the AAA market that feel very samey, and that doesn't necessarily mean that all of these games are bad, but just the fact that this game is so different in that way, it interests me more, because I mean, like, there are bad movies that people like, The Room or Birdemic. People they're
Sharknado.
Right. Well, and I'm not necessarily saying Death Stranding is a bad game, but even if I don't like it and I consider it a bad game, those movies are an experience that are totally different than what you're used to. And I'm definitely intending on playing this game regardless of what these review scores say, regardless of the fact that IGN gives it a 6.5 or I forget the name of the other publication that openly admitted that they just stopped. They couldn't do the review because they got so bored playing through the game. I'm still interested. Maybe Kojima got a bit too egotistical with this game, but I don't care.
Let's get Norman Reedus and make a game where you just deliver things.
Yeah, I mean, you're basically a glorified UPS guy trekking the country and trying not to die from basically a form of a poltergeist.
But you can, but also you can leave ladder bridges for your other delivery guy friends.
Exactly.
It does seem weird. I have to admit, like it's had my attention since day one.
Well, exactly. It doesn't mean it's good. It doesn't mean that the game is going to be good. We don't know until we play
right.
it. But we definitely know, or at least we can safely assume it'll leave a different experience with us.
Different for sure.
But yeah, I'll be excited to try that out. I don't know if I'll be able to get it on Friday, but I'll be.
I'm gonna hold off on this one.
I'll definitely be playing it eventually. It'll definitely end up in my library sooner or later. But yeah, we've talked about quite a bit of video game news and movies and stuff. Now we're gonna be we have two more tech related stuff. So I don't know if you're a smartwatch guy, Brendan.
I have an Apple Watch.
You have an Apple Watch. Do you use it ever?
I wear it every day. It's great for getting like notifications and stuff. It's a good fitness tracker. So, I mean, there's uses for it. I could live without it, though, for sure.
I've been incredibly bitter with Fitbit because my one favorite smartwatch that I loved was my Pebble. And the Pebble watch kind of had this philosophy of like, it's not a phone on your wrist like the Apple Watch or the whatever the Galaxy watch was, the Gear. It was an extension of your phone on your wrist, and it had like a week-long battery life, and it had different multimedia controls. It was an open source thing, so you could put all these different custom watch faces. I had like a Metal Gear Solid codec call as my main watch face, and then I love that thing. And then Fitbit bought them out, shut down the servers, and the watch basically became kind of DOA. And I've been incredibly upset since because I have yet to find a good, suitable like replacement for the Pebble. But my hopes may be answered, and at the very least, I get to smile at the fact that Fitbit is bought out. Google has officially bought Fitbit for $2.1 billion. And this is going to be them really trying to compete against Samsung and against Apple that have their own smartwatches with their own OS. What are your thoughts? Do you think they can pull it off with their Wear OS?
It kind of depends on price points, honestly. If they were to go out and try to sell you a smartwatch for, let's say, the $500 that a halfway decent Apple Watch costs, they're going to get that. The person's going to buy the Apple Watch every time.
Yeah.
Now it's going to be good. It's going to be a good option for like non-iPhone users. I don't know. The Galaxy Watch it works on all Android, but it kind of just is still kind of specific to the Galaxy phone. So it'll be a good option for people that use, let's say like LG or Nokia or the Pixel.
Right. And I think Google is kind of catching on with, because the one thing you always hear from Apple users is the ecosystem, and whether or not, I mean, it's by design that Apple wants you to stay in their ecosystem. That's why they make things work amazingly well with each other on their own products, but not very well with others. And be that as it may, if you're an Apple consumer, you have essentially a great experience if you have like a whole Apple family of products. And so I think Google is kind of finally, even what you notice it with their phones and in the Google Assistant software. I'm triggering the Google Assistant on my phone right now. Get
out of here, Google.
I think with this Wear OS thing, this is just kind of one step further. I'm just hoping that they don't kind of pull a Pixel and try to make it at the same cost or at the same price point, because I think
it will flop.
I think it'll be much more beneficial if they can be competitive with the price.
I do have to tell you though, so I went to the Apple Store today actually, and honestly, like Apple's main goal is to just make your life easier. So the person I was with bought an Apple Watch band, and he just went and grabbed it off the shelf, popped open his Apple Shop app, scanned it, and then it automatically paid with Apple Pay, and he walked out. Right. He didn't even have to speak to a human being. It was great. It's exactly what I'm looking for.
Yeah, no, and Google Pay does that too, with the phones and stuff. But I think
can you walk into a Google store?
Well, I don't think
and scan any item off of the wall.
Well,
I was kind of just like, what?
No, I totally get that. I think with I think with card readers too. The more they get updated, I mean, I'm a huge fan of the NFC apps, the Google Pays, the Apple Pays. I love that stuff.
Yeah, so good.
So for me, I just hope that Google really hits it out of the park with the functionality in their software and really tries to kind of improve upon it. And yeah,
I'm honestly sure they will. I'm sure they will.
We'll see what happens. It's exciting though, because competition's always good. And
I just like new technology. Like new things.
I like new tech, but I also, one of the harder things because I'm a preferred Android user, I like the openness of the applications. However, that being said, the flagship stuff is often, I mean, like I said, you get all these like benefited experiences with being an Apple consumer, and Google's kind of finally starting to come around with that a lot on the software end, where like your passwords are all intertwined together, and there's like really seamless integration with Google Pay and with the Play Store and stuff like that. So I'm excited. And yeah, I'll be looking forward to that eventual press release whenever they unveil the new watch. Yeah. Last story is, pull this up here. So the last story that we got is a very fun topic: politics. Woo. We're not a political show, but because this is dealing with technology so heavily, kind of have to talk about it. And I think it's an important conversation given our, the way that social media and software in Silicon Valley is kind of expanding so rapidly. For those of you who aren't aware, basically Facebook has been kind of under fire lately about, their recent kind of hands-off approach. Mark Zuckerberg recently stated basically political ads any political ad can be run. It doesn't have to be truthful. They can basically be lying about whatever. The only real caveat is that as long as they're not inciting violence or any like legitimate illegal activity, then they'll let them do whatever. They can, and my opinion, it's kind of irresponsible because of what the potential dangers could be of that. And I think as a response to the criticism and backlash that Facebook and specifically Mark Zuckerberg has received from that, Twitter recently announced they are just going to ban all political ads, which honestly I'm okay with. They're basically taking the opposite approach. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey says, "We believe political message reach should be earned, not bought." And basically, to make it completely clear, he's just saying if you're a politician, you cannot pay for an ad.
No pay to win the day, boy.
Right. And I think too, that covers like lobby groups and stuff. You can't have a political based ad because but however, that doesn't mean that people like Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump, and all those other politicians, they can still use their platform on Twitter. They just can't pay to
have it pop up
to spread whatever message they want, whether that be for good or bad or whatever. So I think this is a better approach to just kind of nip it at the bud. Some people criticize that it's an issue for those who are smaller, who are trying to like run for a local office and to try and get like people in the local area to know who they are. If they can't pay for ads, it is so much harder to get their name recognized. I can understand that point. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what develops. I don't know if this will kind of nudge Facebook in that direction, but it doesn't appear to be so. It seems that Mark is pretty firm on that stance. And from a business perspective, strictly business perspective, I mean, you want all the money that you can ever make. So yeah, I could, I would, if my entire goal was just to make money and nothing else, yeah, I'd be like, it's not my responsibility. I'll have anybody pay me money if they want to pay me money. And so, yeah, I guess time will tell with what this is. Do you have any input on this, Brennan?
Honestly, not really. I think you summed it up pretty well.
But yeah, so that's all the fun news out of the way. The last bit of stuff I like to usually just talk about, read the current games that are going to be coming out this week or this next week after this video is posted. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll just read the games and the systems and the dates. We got Black Sad, Under the Skin, PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. Grip, Combat Racing Rollers versus Airblades, Ultimate Edition, PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch. And Just Dance 2020, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and the Nintendo Wii.
The Nintendo Wii?
Yeah, the Nintendo Wii. All these games are on November 5th. Also...
like the Wii U?
No, the Nintendo Wii, as in basically a GameCube with motion controls Wii. The Wii Sports Wii. It is like one of their, it was one of their best-selling systems for, that game. So.
Wait, but they're releasing.
They're releasing, yeah, I'm telling you, Just Dance 2020, for the Switch and the Wii.
Who the heck still has a Wii laying around?
Hey, plenty of people have Wiis. They just maybe don't play them, or if they do, they're playing like Twilight Princess.
Yeah, dude, Twilight Princess.
We got a few, actually, a good handful of games. I stopped a little early with November 5th, but the other games in November 5th are Need for Speed, Heat. That's on Origin Access, EA Access, November 5th. Planet Zoo for the PC, November 5th. We got Red Dead Redemption 2 for the PC, November 5th. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Definitive Edition, PC, PS4, Xbox One. And Death Stranding, so that's November 5th. And then Death Stranding comes out, PS4, November 8th. And eventually PC, I think, sometime in 2020. Yeah. I know you're excited for this one. Disney Tsum Tsum Festival.
Tsum Tsum. Never heard of it.
For the Switch, November 8th. Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel and the Millionaire's Conspiracy for the Switch, November 8th. Mario and Sonic, the Olympic Games, Tokyo 2020 for the Switch. And that's November 8th. Need for Speed, Heat, PC, PS4, Xbox One, November 8th. And then finally, Super Lucky's Tale, because everyone is just chomping at the bit for Super Lucky's Tale for the Switch. Everyone bought that for the Xbox and was like, I need this mediocre platformer for the Xbox, and now I need it on the Switch. I mean, it honestly makes sense that they would put Super Lucky's Tale on the Switch, because the Switch, by and large, sells those types of games a lot better. I just think it's kind of a mediocre game myself, but yeah, those are the games coming out for this next week. And then, as always, at the end of these, we try to basically we're gonna be releasing this podcast on Sunday. The time of this recording is Friday. So if we're missing some stuff or it seems like a little bit of old news, that's why. But tomorrow's video, we definitely encourage you to watch. Brendan's making it. You want to tell him a little bit about it? Give him a little summary of what you're doing?
Yes. So basically, I'm just kind of coming out with a video about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order that's releasing on the 15th. And talking about like its affiliation with EA, and if EA is going to pull their typical crap or not. Just overall an insight on the game and exactly what it's going to be. So cool. Yeah, tune in for that for sure.
I'm excited. And then lastly, for those of you who may not have seen, who aren't subscribed yet to the channel, we do videos every Monday, a new podcast once on the weekend. It depends on when, but we'll try and release it every Sunday. And then we have a bonus video that we uploaded that Brendan did a while back on the Witcher, and so that's up there. I think it's a great video. Definitely encourage you to check it out. Yeah. So with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. We very much appreciate it. Please follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook at Digital Cynics, and for all things tech, games, and other nerdy things in between, please subscribe to Digital Cynic. Until next time, have a good one.